Congratulations on the album. I've had a chance to sit down and take a listen, and it's an absolutely amazing album. So congratulations.
I appreciate that, man. We worked really hard on it, dude.
You wrote this during perhaps what is going to be one of the most interesting time periods during our generation. What was it like writing an album in the middle of a pandemic?
Well, I think it allowed, because 3 out of 4 of us were not working at the time. I think I was the only one that was working full time. I'm in the construction industry, so that was one industry that didn't slow down or stop during the pandemic. So, but the drummer, the guitarist, the bass player, they were all sitting at home.
Yep.
So I think they had a little more time to put things together, think about things more. They basically had all the time they needed to do it, all from morning till night. So I think that kind of allowed us to get a little deeper into the songwriting process and put some cooler stuff into the music,
Yeah, and did it change how they wrote as well? Because I understand that they kind of wrote skeletons of songs and then you came in and added the vocals. Is that right?
Yes, but this one actually, it was the same process as Reborn to Kill, only this time, once the skeletons were put together, we kind of listened to it and we're just like, it needs something more. Like, these are good songs, but they're not like, they're like not grabbing. They're not, you know what I mean? They don't like suck you in, And then we were all kind of got on that, and we're just like, yeah, there needs something. So Dan's like, all right, I'm gonna redo some of this, and he took that album and made it completely fucking different and crazy and epic, and he had it in a lot of different kind of I don't know, emotions to the music that was never there before. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's a pretty mature thing for a band to be able to realize. There are a lot of bands out there that probably wouldn't have been able to realize that their tracks weren't grabbing people like that. What was that discussion like amongst you guys when you came up with the thought that these songs aren't grabbing people? Because like I said, that's a pretty mature thing for a band to realize.
It wasn't that in-depth of a discussion. It was just kind of, we listened to it and we're like, all right, is this as good as the last album? Is this what, is this like compared to the last album? I'm like, I remember my 2 cents were like, there's parts in Reborn to Kill that caught me a lot more than these new songs. You know what I mean? I'm like, I don't know if this is like a step up from the last album. That was my 2 cents,
Yeah.
And granted, like it did come together pretty fast. Like the first bones of the songs came together pretty fast. So then they went, they took them back and like I said, Dan, dissected them and changed a lot of stuff around and I think he spent more time doing that than they did in the original writing of the songs. So then they came back and it just fucking blew my hat off, dude,
And what was that like then for you to sit down and do the vocal writing? Because of course the lyric writing, is that something that you also have little skeletons and lines of lyrics laying around that you meld together, or do you listen to the track when it comes back to you and that then fuels you to sit down and write the lyrics?
At that point, no, I didn't have anything written to it. I was kind of waiting for them to say, like, okay, these are the songs, this is 100% done, because, yeah, it sucks to, like, put shit down to a song, and then they're like, no, we're going to change this around, and then it's like, well, what am I supposed to do? Like, I got to, like, scrap this and redo the whole thing. You know what I mean? So
yeah.
I like to wait till everyone's 100% happy with the songs, and they're good to go before I start messing around with them, so... That's fortunately, I didn't have anything put to the songs before they went back into the meat grinder, you know?
Yep. Were there any themes that you were keen to explore with your lyrics this time around?
Maybe some like, I don't know, nothing really jumps out at me. It's just like what's going on in my head at the time, man. You know, like what, I just, I write songs about things that are kind of in front of me and that I've been thinking about, and they just pop into my head, man. And thank God for an iPhone, because you know shit will pop into my head, and I'll just get my little recorder out and I'll just start spewing into it, you know. That's kind of how that works for me.
You mentioned before about the epic sound of this album, and that's so clear when you sit down and listen to this. There's those sweeping guitar riffs and everything all the way through this album. Tell us a little bit about what was the first reaction you had when those tracks came back to you with this epic sound in there?
Well, I'll tell you, the first I was excited. I was like, what the fuck is this? Like, this is fucking crazy. I'm like, this is, you know, and it really, because it was very unique, you know, for a brutal death metal band to come out with some riffs like that is not, you don't hear that every day, you know, and I was like, holy shit, this is something different. And so I was excited, you know, at first, and then the next thing was, how in the fuck am I going to put gutturals to some of these riffs, you know? So that was a challenge for me, you know, to try to figure out the vocal patterns to some of the songs and you know, where and when to place my vocals and stuff, you know, because some of it's just so weird and like, you know, you wouldn't expect to hear my type of vocals on some of those songs and riffs, you know. So, and the guys, I'm gonna give it to them. They did help me out, you know, and they would be like, you know, let this one breathe. Or like, no, there needs to be something right here, but then not over here, you know, and that helped me out a lot because, you know, those guys put a lot of time and effort into making those songs, and I wanted to make something that everyone was stoked on and happy with, so, you know, we all kind of collaborated, man, and made it happen.
Yeah. Did the lockdowns and things make the collaboration difficult in the sense that you couldn't all go to a studio to work on it at one time, or was there anything like that for you guys? Because I know the rules were different all around the world.
Yeah, you know, well, fortunately for those three, they live within, you know, 15, 20 minutes of each other. So they could get together, and Dave's got, you know, his garage is set up with his drums, and they just go over there and just shred, you know. I'm a couple 100 miles away. I live north of Los Angeles, so I can't just like pop over there real quick. So I wasn't there for a lot of when it was coming together. I wished I would have been, but I think they did a bang up job on it, man. I give them that.
And of course, the title of the album, The Everlasting Plague, it fits exactly what we're all going through at the moment. But that was actually the title of a track from your last album. Was there a big discussion about using that title for this album?
That was actually a track off of A Time of Great Purification, I believe. That was a couple albums ago, but it just kind of, I think Dave got that out, you know. He was like, hey, this is an old song, and it fits, you know, perfectly with what's going on, right? You know, you look around and like the fucking world's coming to an end, and you know, shit's going down, so it just fit perfect, you know.
Yeah, and the album cover, Pa has done an absolutely amazing job with that. Tell us a little bit about that album cover and how much of an input did you guys actually have before Pa sat down to work on it?
You know, Pa, he's done a lot of album covers for Pathology, so I don't know how much direction he had. I know, you know, we talked about maybe just a couple like bass things and just said go for it, you know, and he just does his thing, man. That dude's so good, you know, that he cranked that out pretty quick, and we were pretty stoked on it. He would send us over like the sketch, like the rough sketch, and every time he would like go through a phase of what he was doing with it, he would send it over, and we'd be updated and be like, holy fuck, that's awesome, and so yeah, it came together pretty quick, and we were stoked on it. Actually, we did have another artist in mind before Par. Just it was just a wild idea, and we're like, this is going to be a new label. Let's try to do something different. And we had another dude, bust something out for us, and it was just like, it was great. It was great. It was a great album cover, but it just didn't. I don't think it did the music justice. It didn't. It wasn't like vicious enough or something, and we're just like, we're looking at it and it looks really cool, but it's like, does this artwork like hold up to the music? And we all just looked at each other and we're like, I don't think so. So we went with Par because he's the dude. He'll always come up with something killer. So.
Yeah, I definitely cannot wait to get that on either a patch or a shirt. It's going to look absolutely fantastic. You mentioned there as well the new label. What's it like being with Nuclear Blast, and how did that relationship come about for you?
Well, I think Dave always talks to. Dave's not only the drummer, he's the manager. He's the doer of the band. So he networks and talks to all kinds of people. And I know that a couple people from Nuclear Blast came out to one of our Los Angeles shows a few years ago. I think on our second tour with this lineup, and it was a fucking ripper of a show, man. Like, it was, people were going ape shit, and we played really good and everything. It was sick. I was like, oh man, like if they were there, like they were going to be impressed, because it was a killer show, and that was the first time I'd even heard of them, like paying any attention to us. So, and then from there, Dave just stayed in contact with them, I guess, and we put out Reborn to Kill and toured on it, and then toured on it some more, and then toured on it some more, and we just put in work, man. And
yeah, and
I don't know what sealed the deal, but they saw something that we already know. We're a solid 4-piece band, and nobody's going anywhere, and we make tunes, and we have a lot of fun together, man. It's a good time.
Talking of that fun as well, is it looking like opening back up there for you guys to go out and tour? Because here we're looking at another 3 weeks of lockdown, but is it opening back up to the point where you guys will be able to tour with this album soon?
Man, Dave, it's getting super weird over here, dude. It's like political, and they're starting to do this thing where, in Los Angeles County, if it's like a gathering of more than a certain amount of people, like, you have to be vaccinated. You have to show your vaccine, card. And because it's politicized, like, people, like, one group won't get vaccinated because, they think it's bullshit. And so it's like, everything's fucked up, man. It's all bullshit. It's frustrating.
Yep.
It's really frustrating because as soon as you think, and there's been 2 times when it just opened back up, it's like, oh, cool, like, everything's back, and then 2, 3, 4 weeks go by, and then they're like, oh no, it's bad again, go back home, and it's just, fuck, now it just feels like it's going to go on forever, dude. Granted, there are shows, like, there are shows happening here and there, but they're few and far between, and they sell out because, there's not many things to do these days.
Yeah.
But I couldn't imagine being like a tour promoter these days because of, the hardships that venues have to face with being closed for years, and then trying to, like, stay afloat. And it's like, if I was trying to book a tour, it'd be kind of scary, putting up dough and calling all these places, and then when the tour starts, like how many of those venues are still going to be open?
Yep.
You know, you don't know.
Yeah, it's the same here. We've seen the whole pandemic become very politicalized, and it's the same with the vaccinations. Followers of one party don't want to have the vaccination, and followers of the other party are happy to go out and get it. So, yeah, it sounds like it's exactly the same there as what it is here at the moment.
Yeah, it's bottom line is it's a shit show.
Yeah. Well, mate, the one thing that we do have is the album, and I know we're running out of time very, very quickly for the interview. So, is there anything you'd like to say to people out there before they go out and grab this album that's so important to us at this time?
Just listen to the whole album, and it just go on the journey. Buy the ticket, get on the ride.